Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. I am working on the very last finishing touches on my February Gryphon illustration. Man, now that I've got it under the light, I can really see the sparkles, and I really like that. I had it hanging up since the last time I worked on it, and you don't really appreciate these until you see them shining in the light. So there's a couple little spots I could clean up. I think I might be able to get this done today. When I was examining my January Gryphon, which has been complete since last year, all framed and everything, I didn't notice anything that I was neglecting, any details that I forgot to add, or that I forgot to plan to add. That's more what I'm saying. So, all I have left today, we'll see if I get it done today. The little details always take longer than it seems like they should. I'm going to use this white gouache here, which you probably can't see because it's a white dollop of gouache on a white palette on a white disc. I've got this same gouache I put out last week, but I didn't actually use, so it's all dry, but that's fine. I'm going to use that on some places like these amethyst stones to give them a nice highlight, to make them look like a shiny gemstone. So right now they're pretty flat, and they don't stand out nearly enough against the border next to them. And then I thought I'd probably use some gouache here around the eye for this pattern that's around Robin's eyes, just to make it a little more natural or organic, so that, because right now it's outlined in ink, but these are just feathers. Like, these feathers are white and these feathers are black, so it shouldn't be such a hard line. I don't know if there's anywhere else I'll use gouache. Maybe on these claws and foot, but on these areas they're so small, I might instead use my X-Acto knife to just cut the paper and get a highlight that way. Even if I don't use it there, I am going to use the knife on some of these, not all, but just some of these needles, pine needles, to get even more depth out of them, to show that some are catching a little bit of light here and there. You know, like right here is a really prime spot. And I'll probably do a couple down here. Maybe these ones. I might do some on just this very topmost rim, the front edge of the nest. I was also gonna try to do some on the tail, so that they would be nice and thin like hairs. And then the edges of these wings, which are very starkly white, but just at the edge. And then maybe I'll do some as highlights around here, or I might use gouache for that. I'll just see how I feel about it once I get to that point. But I want to start with the gouache on the stones. And of course I'll be looking at my reference images as I go to make sure that the highlights are appropriate for the texture. Like, like I don't know if I need any highlights on these flowers. I don't know if they're like actually shiny and reflective or if they're more of a matte kind of texture. So I'll be looking at the flower references to see what I need to do, and I'll be looking at references for everything else too. You can probably hear my dog soon barking. I don't know if he's barking because I have a package delivery. I'm definitely expecting stuff for my to help heal my foot. But he might also be barking at, they are chip sealing the road right outside of our house, which is awesome. I love chip sealing because it makes the road so nice without having to take so long. Like if you fully replace the road, it doesn't take nearly as long as that. But there's a whole bunch of people outside. In fact, they had traffic stopped when I was last upstairs like half an hour ago. There's a big long line of cars, and the person with the handheld stop sign was right there in front of our house. Just trying to make sure I get enough pigment on here. Yeah, Soon is freaking out upstairs. Oh, he stopped. Oh, nope, he went on again. Yeah, there's gotta be... He probably finally noticed. I don't think he noticed, even though I was watching through the curtains. I don't think he noticed all the hubbub outside until now. I'm not gonna get up and go stop him barking because I got the ice pack on my foot, so I can't walk on it right now. I didn't ice my foot until now, today. I want to get in the habit of doing all of that recovery stuff first thing in the morning. But there's so much of it to do, it's hard to keep up with it. I need to ice my foot. I need to take ibuprofen to reduce the inflammation. I need to stretch. And I also need to roll, which is different from stretching. It's like self-massage. Rolling is like self-massage. I just don't feel like enough gouache is coming off of here. Keep adding water until it soaks in. It really gives me a lot of pigment. Okay, let me go back to my small brush and see how that works. Ooh, Soon is freaking out. I wonder if I should call him in here. He'd probably come in here. I can probably roll my chair over to the door and call him in without stepping on my foot. I'm gonna try it. Good boy. Okay. I have to walk on my toes to get over there, but Soon's in. We got Soon in here now. A little barking doggy. It's not the barking that bothers me so much, rather than it's the fact that when he's barking like that, he's working himself up and stressing himself out, and I don't like that. I want him to have a nice, calm life. Can't do anything about all those people out there, so he's at the door. He remembers that there's something out there. Okay, so for all of these, I need to have the same sort of light source. I don't think I'm going to be able to... There's not really much of a light source here because it's all in the shadow of the branches of the tree. So I can't use this as reference. I think I'll just do my typical light source coming from this direction. You just need to all have the same. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. The dry gouache isn't gonna work. I tried. You saw I tried. I need fresh gouache. Just won't work unless it's grayish. Something that transparent typical watercolor has over gouache, which is technically watercolor, but it's opaque. You don't get that opaqueness if you let it dry. You saw me working that. I was working that blob for like 5 minutes at least. No, nothing came. No impact at all. Oh goodness, I was dropping my dang brush. I wonder if I need a new one of these little tiny brushes. It just doesn't keep its nice pointy tip anymore. It's always being troublesome. No, it's working better now. Says, don't get rid of me. I'll try harder. Hoo-wee, it's getting cold on my foot. I got a sock on in between the ice pack, but it's still cold. I'm gonna bear it as long as I can. It's all for the best. It starts getting much worse than this, though. I'm gonna take it off. Looking forward to the finished roads out there because they were all patched up and, like, you know, there's those tar lines all over it because of all the cracks over the years. And I don't know, I wonder if they ever did do chip sealing here before, or I've lived most of my time here in a private neighborhood, so they never did that. They never did chip sealing. This is my first year living somewhere where they do the chip sealing thing. Yes, dude, this is looking great. I don't know if you can see it. It's such a small little thing, but it looks so good. It looks so good in person. My cold foot. Oh, it's so cold. It's so cold. Oh, for the best. Heel, foot. Heel. Haha, heel, because it's my heel. That hurts. I wonder if you can hear the click-clack. Sin's little claws on my hardwood floor in here. I know he'd prefer to be out there barking, working himself up. But I don't prefer that. No barking, no craziness. Nice, calm, and peaceful. At least no barking for something that doesn't need barking at. The chip sealing is gonna happen. No reason to bark at it. These are looking super great. You can get the same sort of white coverage from acrylic paint as well, but for a piece like this, I really prefer the gouache because I've used watercolor, essentially watercolor pencils, and it's got that nice matte finish. It even has like it's just such a nice texture. And if you use acrylic, there's going to be a shininess to it, a sort of plastic look, because acrylic is a plastic basically. So that's why I like to use gouache on a piece where I've used watercolor. So that I match the texture of the other media, I guess is the best way to say it. Alright, I'm gonna refresh my brush. Come on, man. Let's do this. Got a little too dry. This is looking good. Be so great if I won something with this piece. Gotta get it submitted though before anything. So I gotta get it framed. Someone's now laid down by my door, looking at the door because he wants to go back out and see if those people are still around. Those intruders are still around. Yeah, this brush is all over the place. It's a little, I can trim off these ones that are unruly. Okay, satisfied with those. What's next? I think I'm just gonna go go by whatever order my reference images are in. But now that I'm looking at it, I guess there's a very, very few. I'm looking at the nest. Sorry, I'm talking, but the thoughts are all in my head, and not all of them are coming out. I'm now considering what I should do with the nest. It's not, none of these are super shiny, like really reflecting a ton of light, but there are just some here and there that are brighter overall, that gives this sense of the light coming down like this. This is what I want, not too much highlight, just enough to make it stand out a little bit. This is what this liner brush is good for. That's good. Don't need too much, just a little tiny bit. Don't need it to be obvious what I've done. Just want it to be a subtle thing that you wouldn't even notice unless you're looking really close. So I'm happy with the nest. What's next? It's the pine needles. when I did this for the first time with my January Gryphon, what I realized is it's not just about cutting the paper, because these are so, especially having a nice sharp one, they'll make like a surgically precise type of cut, and you don't actually see the paper underneath, which is the point. So actually I turn it on the side and scrape away with the tip of the knife. So rather than cutting like this, you scrape away. But it ends up looking like a cut because it's so thin. It's so much thinner than what you can get with a brush or with like a white gel pen, or another way to, whatever other way I've ever tried to get white highlights, to bring white highlights in to a watercolor piece. It's just so thin and small. And this doesn't work on other types of paper as well, because you need a thicker type of paper like this. It's probably better if I use this to brush away the extra little bits of paper. It's also better if you scrape at it a little bit at a time like this, because if you try to do just one big pull, it can get caught on the paper, and the paper can rip up in a bigger section, not like this big, but relatively larger. But if you scrape at it tiny, tiny, tiny little bit at a time, then you'll get an even line. At least a more even line. And I don't want to do this too many places, just here and there, adding more depth. This adds depth not only to the individual needles, it adds further depth to the groups of needles together. Just like adding the shadow made some look like they were farther behind, these highlights will make the individual needles look more round like they're supposed to be, but it'll also help them stand out as if they're in front. When in reality, everything is flat because this is just a drawing. It's just a 2D visual art. I don't remember where I learned of this technique. It might have been in one of my watercolor not textbooks, but like how to watercolor or whatever. This artist created their own version of because there's no one right way to do anything. So I've got several different teaching books, I guess. I don't know. It's like this artist does it this way and this artist does it this way. I probably learned it from one of those books because I do remember going through them when I first started this project last January. Well, 2 Januaries ago now. January 2017. I was looking up techniques and stuff. Some watercolor techniques I don't know if I'll ever use, just because the purpose doesn't match with the type of work that I want to create. But who knows, I have a long life ahead of me, hopefully. Could try a bunch of different stuff over the years. But right now, this kind of stuff is what I really want to do. Stuff like this illustration right here. This also gives it a sort of like glistening effect. This scraping technique, which is great because especially with these needles, that's what it really needs. It's like a nice organic highlight. Perfect for organic matter like this. Like scraping might not work as nicely for something that is like a perfect sphere and you need to do a highlight on that. Might not come out as nice. Might not have the desired effect. With an organic type of highlight like this, what it's giving the impression of is that these are not perfectly smooth. They have texture to them, and that is making the light reflect in different ways, and that's why it's not like a perfect highlight. Because as the surface, you know, is bumpy or whatever, and the light reflects a little bit differently. That's probably enough. I don't need to do these everywhere. What's next? Here we go. Now time to work on this robin. So, I think first I will do more gouache, the areas where I wanted to. Wake it up. It's already starting to dry. Wake up. Just want to put a little bit on here. Let's make these little patches around the eye more organic looking. See, I also have got these marks all over the place, actually. Let's do a little on the highlight on the eye. And let that stand out. Soon as sign doesn't want to be in here anymore. And he's got to stay in here until I'm done. So if I can be with him, I can calm him down if he starts barking like that. But if he's in the living room and I need to be working, I can't be out there telling him to shush and calm himself. Now, what do I think? Maybe I should use gouache on the... what should I do? Let's move on to a... Oh, this one really shows the edges. Guess I'll move back to the knife. This really shows the edges of the feathers, how they've got that. I mean, not all these robins have it, but since several of them do, I really want to get that nice bright highlight along the edges of the feathers. It's not everywhere. Right here, these feathers are all really nice, soft, and fluffy. So, workspace is so cramped today. So I won't do any here. It starts right here, and pretty much every feather has this really stark white. This is gonna look, I'm not even, just barely started and I know this is gonna look good. It's gonna look good by the end. Gotta finish applying to Boise State today. Applying to become a student again, so I can actually finish my degree. I started the application yesterday, but they ask you for so much like obscure information, and especially, so I'm like spending a bunch of time just running around looking for this info. Like what exact date? Like they don't want like month and year. They want the exact date that you graduated high school. So I'm like getting into my yearbook. My senior yearbook so that I can look it up. I don't know what date it was exactly. It was over 10 years ago. Surely month and year is enough. And then they wanted my Boise State student ID number, which I haven't had to use in like 5 years. Let me think. Yeah, 5 years, because I believe 2012 was my last semester when I decided I just could not handle doing a full-time / often overtime IT job. And just with art degrees, you kind of get ripped off because you have to put in way more work per credit than any other type of degree. So, you know, they tell you these guidelines, oh, expect to do, for every credit, expect 1 hour of in-class work per credit and 3 hours of out-of-class work per credit per week, or whatever, that kind of thing. And, I mean, who knows, maybe they've stopped saying that, but back then I was like, I'm having to spend like 20 hours on one class on a project outside of class, and I'm only getting like 1 credit for this class. Like, for the amount of work you put in, you should get a lot more credits for it. Maybe they've changed it a bit, that would be nice, but now I don't have to worry so much about that since I don't have to work a full-time job while also trying to get crazy amounts of art created. So it's been 5 years. 5 years since the last time I attempted my degree. But now I'm feeling so, it's like now that I have the freedom to just go to school full-time with no other things except what I set for myself, nothing else to distract me from my schoolwork. What I was getting at before was I decided to take a break from my application yesterday when I got to the honors college part. I'm like, should I do the honors college? I mean, I have a feeling it doesn't really mean anything other than, you know, if you graduate from the honors college, then it looks good. And an art degree is not really a thing where people are going to be like looking at your degree and being like, oh, this artist has a honors college. Like, nobody cares. When it's art, what matters is what are you creating? What piece can you make for me? And honors college isn't going to help you with that. But maybe for my own satisfaction, I should just do it. Because I want to challenge myself and I want to do the best I can. I have feelings like that too. Because again, since art degrees are not what gets you the job, it's the work you learn how to do, it's the connections you make while you're there in school. That's what really matters with an art degree. So if the degree itself isn't going to matter, then I care more about what I actually do while I'm there in college. I want to make the most of it. But the reason I took a break once I got to that point, I need to remember to use my swipey thing so I'm not getting my hand oils all over this any more than I already am. You have to write an essay. And I like writing essays, but you can't just, I mean, I can't just, oh, write an essay, okay, and then just type it up. I have to think about what I'm going to say. And I've thought since yesterday about, I have to write about a time that I struggled. And I was having some shower thoughts. And I was like, oh, that would be perfect. So then I could tie it into school. The subject I thought about writing about was my transition from working at my IT job to working only for myself, which was much, much harder than I ever expected. Because my whole life, when I dreamed of, if only I didn't have this job, I could, and what I imagined it in my head was kind of like, oh yeah, if I won the lottery, then I could be a rock star, because then I could just go and play music and have parties all the time, and that's all I do. But if you actually want to be a successful, like, career rock star, or career any other thing that requires you to motivate yourself to get stuff done, it's much, much, much harder. It's much harder than doing a normal job. Because at least with a normal job, someone else is on the outside expecting you to show up. And they will either reward you or they will punish you, depending on how you perform, etc. But as I've learned when I'm trying to create something out of nothing and nobody anywhere is expecting anything of me, no one is looking to reward or punish me for what I do, the motivation, you've got to find it somewhere, and it is hidden really well. It's very hard to find. Even today, that's why I got started late today. I was in a mood where I would rather do my laundry and finish off this piece. And I did do laundry. I did. See, I finished off the load that I started last night, got all that put away, some of it ironed, and I washed 2 more really tiny loads of laundry. It's like that's what I was doing instead of getting my streaming stuff ready today. Motivation is so hard to find when no one is expecting anything. When there's no one gonna say, hey, where were you? I was expecting you. I'm really disappointed that you weren't there. Like, I don't want anyone to get mad at me, of course, but external motivation is so much easier to find. So that's what I was thinking of writing about, how I've figured out how to get myself motivated with no one else expecting anything of me. So it's like, because even today, I really didn't want to. I was not feeling it, but I got on here and I started working on this piece. So I need to get it done because I want to put it in the fair. It's like the fair is not expecting me to submit art. No one is expecting me to create this. But I've figured out how to work with myself to get things done. And I've even come so far that I can get things done on time, which was always a huge struggle when I was doing art, but also working. Like, meeting deadlines I was so bad with deadlines, and I was pretty embarrassed about it because it would happen every time. I would always miss it. It was just so hard to do the artwork and work the full-time job. But I was always so flattered to receive a commission then I'd always take it and I would tend to say, this time I'm going to get it done. But there'd always be something. There'd be something that pops up. Stops me from doing it. I think that would be a good subject for an essay that's to show that I can handle the upgraded workload of the Honors College. That I've already figured out how to work with myself and motivate myself to get stuff like that done. I feel like being able to write an essay that is about the subject, which is a time you struggled, but also being able to tie it in the end, and maybe I won't say it so obtusely. What's the word? Obviously? As frankly? I won't say, and that's why you should allow me to join the Honors College. Like, I won't say that, but I'll make it clear what I'm implying. I will explain that now I have these skills, that this struggle that I went through for the past 2 years, figuring out how to get things done when no one else cares whether I get them done or not. And I'll try to make it a good story too. But the problem is, I think I only have 500 words, and frankly, that's not very much. Like, when it comes to writing, I am extremely long-winded. No, what the heck? Even if my degree doesn't really matter to people who might like to buy my art or commission my services, I can still put it on like all my websites and stuff. If I graduate with, from the Honors College or with 2 degrees, because I'd really like to double major in literature. Dang it, stop that. I can still include it. Maybe it won't make people, probably won't be the deciding factor on whether they commission my services or whatever, but could be interesting for them to know. Could show that I'm a hard worker or high achiever or something. There, would you look at that? That's so worth it. Adding all that little scrape. I'm not sure if I should do the scrape on the leg though, because the leg is really smooth and like leathery. So I might actually prefer to use gouache there. Switching through my reference images. Yeah, this is really shiny, but it's also so small. Yeah, I guess I'll scrape, because it's just so small. The highlight needs to be tiny. Okay, here we go. get this tiny precision with gouache or ink or anything. It's kind of super thin highlight. Yes, it looks dang good, dang good. Love it, I love it. I love adding the highlights. It's the most satisfying thing. So freaking satisfying, I can't even say. So nice. So nice, looks so good. You know, with college, I just hope I don't have to retake too many classes. I know it's been a while since my last class, so I won't be surprised if I need to retake some classes, but I just really would prefer not to retake some of them because they were just like, oh, I slog through them. Okay, ooh, let's do the beak. A little bit of white on the beak, though it's already so bright, nice bright yellow that so bright I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make to put highlights here, but this looks so good. Ah, it's so good. It's so worth it. It's so worth the time. Okay, squirrel time. Back half of the squirrel. Need to just do a few scrapes on the edge. Turn this. Okay, let's finish this and then we'll go back. Gotta be careful, I don't want to cut my fingers off. Okay, I think that's good for the tail. I need a little bit highlight on the leg. Scraping is cutting the paper is also cool because it gives you like an actual texture, more like fur. Like a real world texture on the paper. Yeah, keep doing it. Keep using my hand instead of my brush. Yeah, that's probably good. Might be a little too much, but I'll look at it later from far away and see what the effect is. Okay, what else? What else needs some scraping? Maybe a little bit more on the tail. I guess I keep using my hand because some of these little papers aren't coming off and I need to kind of use friction to get them off. All the pieces of paper. They're all over the desk now that I'm thinking about it. Now that I'm aware of it. Okay, let's stop. Let's stop with that. Let's go to the next reference. Yeah, I don't think I'm needing much highlight on the flowers. They're quite matte. I guess the greenery has a little bit. But even that is not, it's not like super shiny leaf or whatever. Come on, gouache, don't dry yet. I only need you for a bit longer. Hang in there. Yeah, that's good. It's good to just help it stand out from the nest. It's a pretty similar color. Yeah, there's really not any white highlights on the actual petals of these flowers. Not even in the reference picture where it was in full sunlight. If there's ever going to be a highlight on something, it'll be then. Gosh, am I done? Am I really, truly done? No, I'm not. Getting ahead of myself. Trying to get this brush to form the tip back together and maybe it will dry. There's still one more thing I wanted to do, which is add black ink details, basically hatching anywhere else that it is needed. So I'm going to start at the beginning. Start at the beginning of my reference images, I mean. Okay, got some more details on these. And I think it's good because it's making them look a little more 3D, which is what I wanted. I wanted them to look like round, not flat. Okay, what's next? Okay, amethyst done. Nest. Anything on the nest? Maybe. A little bit inside of these really dark areas. probably good for the nest. Pine needles, anything here? Yeah, a little bit. In fact, I'll just leave it with that. Okay, robin. Yellow lashes here. Maybe a little bit of indication of the fluffy feathers here. But hatching on the lower feathers to give more sense of which feathers are above the others. Really reinforce that three-dimensional feeling. Because the wing is not flat, it's round. So these feathers that are toward this part should have more shadow, even without a direct light source. And then of course where there's more feathers should be more opportunity for shadow. Anything else? Maybe I'll do a little bit extra in the eye. make it stand out a little bit. Yeah, maybe a little bit here too. This represents squirrely. Squirrely time. I don't know if I really need more on the squirrel though. Really pretty good. Maybe a little bit with a bigger marker, pen on this part of the tail. Nope, indeed, I need a thicker one than that. Didn't really make a difference. I don't think I need anything for a squirrel. Yeah, I'll do a little bit on this part. Just a little bit. Help add to the fuzzy, furry feeling. Now flowers. I never wanted to put too much ink on them. Maybe the only place I will is inside here because this area is pretty dark. This one, slightly larger pen. tiniest bit of black ink. Like junctures. When I first inked this piece, I used gray ink, but now it's gotten so dark in places with the coloring that I need black to help it stand out. Goodness, getting so close to done. Should I do a little hatching? Maybe just a little hatching on these. Will help give them a sense of roundness. Do round lines for hatching. Oh yeah, soon. I'm almost done. Almost done, boy. Soon wants me to pet him. You need to pet your home, boy. Give some pets right on your little head. Yeah, such a good boy. That's a good boy. Getting hungry. It's getting close to lunchtime. Actually, technically is lunchtime, but since I got started late, I'm gonna keep working on this until I'm done, because I'm so close to done. I know I'm gonna get done today. Of course, I'm gonna set this up so I can look at it before I bring it in for framing, just to make absolutely sure there's nothing that I've missed, but yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm ready to sign this. Where shall I sign it? Maybe in the nest? Want my signature to be visible but not obtrusive. And right here. maybe it should be along the top of this, but I don't want it to be. Maybe I'll sign it right in the tail. I think I will. Wow! Gosh, how long have I been working on this? Oh, finally done, unless there's anything I noticed later that needs a little touching up. But I think this is done. Dang, this is my what? 16, 17, 18? What is it? Part 17. This is the 17th time I've streamed the work on this. And I had already done a lot of work before I even started live streaming at all in the first place. It's finally done! Yay! I'm gonna have to try to flatten it out. There's a technique where you spray the back and then you stack a bunch of books on it. And that makes it a little bit flatter, but I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Okay, well, that was it for today. Even though I got started late, like very late, streaming, I didn't need all that much time anyway, I guess. Yeah. Signature gets kind of lost a little bit, but that's for the best. I don't want it to be like, here I am, I made this. I just want it to be visible of like, oh, there's the signature. Okay, well, that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'll be working on. I do have a lot of birthday presents that I'm behind on, but again, I don't know about streaming that because I still want it to be a surprise even though I'm late. So I might just work on a chibi, or who knows, I could start a new piece to enter into the fair and try to make one for the first time that matches the yearly theme. I've never done that before. I'll think about it and you'll find out tomorrow what I decide to do. Thank you for watching.